Today, on this Thursday, we are going over a collection of news that came along our way for the War Within, talking about both what's already in-game and already been changed in these past few days, and also what is planned for the release of patch 11.0.7, which, by the way, it's about 26 days away. It will come out on December the 17th. So let's start with the big one for the next patch, which is the balance tuning. You know, it's pretty interesting. We haven't had a video yet about the possible balance changes coming in the next minor patch, and also we haven't really seen any major balance tuning recently. So there is one change actually, and it's a nerf to Enhancement Shaman. So this of course has gotten many eyes onto this change, because Enhancement Shaman at the moment is the top dog DPS, whether you're looking at the raid or Mythic Plus. So of course Enhancement Shaman being nerfed would be some pretty good news. However, there are also bad news attached to this. The good news is being nerfed. The bad news is that it's a hotfix and it is to totemic. For the non-Enhancement Shaman players or the non-Enhancement Shaman knowers, totemic is not played by Enhancement whatsoever. So TLDR, it's a prank. It's a prank. Enhancement Shaman isn't actually receiving any meaningful nerfs planned, at least for 11.0.5. Now, we have something a bit more curious this time for the current real-time events of 11.0.5, which was the Hall of Fame ending. So, a couple of days ago, the last guild, as you can see here, even tracked by Blizzard's own Hall of Fame tracker, the last guild from Korea getting the 200th kill of Ansorek happened around 1 PM European time on Tuesday. So, in NA, this would have been right before the reset. In EU, it would have been about 14, 16 hours before the reset. So normally, Hall of Fame closes on the very same week when the 200th guild is getting Hall of Fame. Generally, this was meant to let some other guilds getting very close to the final kill to still be able to make it and not feel like they want to end themselves because they were 2 hours late or even a day late. So, you know, you had guilds getting the 200 kill, the last kill on Sunday. Well, you know, you still have the rest of Sunday and then Monday and then Tuesday to get Hall of Fame. It's all good. This time though, because this kill apparently for Blizzard was so close to the end of the week, so to the end of the reset when technically the Hall of Fame would have been closed, Blizzard pointed out that they are going to be leaving Hall of Fame open for an additional set of entries for the next reset up until Wednesday the 26th in EU or Tuesday the 25th in NA. Now, it is somewhat relevant simply because if you look at the kills of Ansorek at the 200th kill, since then, you know, since basically Tuesday afternoon, so basically a couple of days ago, we are already getting in the 230 range of kills for the boss. This means that now, if you add to all of these kills, the few kills that will come on Friday and Saturday, and then the way more kills that will come on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, we might even be getting close to having 300 guilds get the Hall of Fame title for this first season, which would possibly be the highest amount of Hall of Fames we have gotten ever. Talking about Hall of Fame also means talking about the raid. There have been, of course, with the release of the news about patch 11.1, a few dev interviews, and there were a few interesting dev interviews. One was the one with Taylor Sanders, which is an encounter designer who designed many of the bosses and the mechanics for Nerobar Palace. Now, besides some very PR responses like, you know, we developed the raid with the plan to make sure that every raid has a boss that players can sink their teeth into. Or maybe the end boss has to be compelling and to be a challenge for the best of the best, you know. What revolutionary words from the encounter designer. No, what is more interesting about the interview was the point on visual clarity, where the dev pointed out that there's going to be a new swirly graphic coming in 11.1 for Season 2 dungeons and for the raid. This is cool, because very often there could be some misconceptions or misunderstandings between, for example, the swirly that you need to soak, the one that you need to dodge, the one that you need to soak with other people. Players have asked for quite a while, honestly, for more visual clarity, more ways to differentiate, for example, the color of the floor, the color of the particle effects of the mechanics, and even having differently, shaped mechanics. Why can't we have swirlies be squares or rectangles or star shaped, and they always have to be these circle shaped swirlies in the same practically model every time? So this was definitely the better one of the news when it came to the interviews with the encounter designer. We also had, of course, the usual interview with Ion Azikostas, the lead game designer for World of Warcraft. This one had a few more interesting points besides just the ones about the raid. For example, talking about delves, we have now the confirmation that in Season 2, Bran is going to have a tank spec. So you can now go along and try to have Bran tank. Of course, very likely for the first month, the tank spec will be completely unusable. Bran will be dead all the times and it will really not work properly. But at least there is the intention of making Bran also be a possible tank in delves. They still consider, though, delves below group content, both the raid and Mythic Plus, and there aren't really any plans for beefing up either the item level or the track of the rewards from the delve system, because it would automatically go and lower the value of, for example, the heroic raids if you give too many hero track gear items from the delve, or even the higher keys of Mythic Plus. A couple of things we knew already from the announced new dungeon, Operation Floodgate, the fact that it was available right away, so we wouldn't have had to wait another season before it entered the pool in Mythic Plus of playable dungeons, and then of course also that it's not a mega dungeon, it's a regular size dungeon. It won't need to be split into two to be able to enter Mythic Plus. Talking about the activity that perhaps had the more ups and downs, the more bumps throughout this season in terms of balancing, was basically the rework of the Mythic Plus system. One of their major pain points they want to alleviate with patch 11.1 is the jump from plus 11 to plus 12. So basically when you lose the Zalatat's bargain buff, if you complete the bargain minigame, and then of course the damage increase and health increase of all mobs, 10%. As soon as you enter a plus 12. Honestly, one of the answers could very simply be make the buff be 5% into 12s and then 10% into 13s, and that's it. Now you have the smoothened out damage and health increase of mobs over 2 keys instead of being just over 1 key. There is also a change, this time it's PvP focused. That is when this reset we have gotten the removal of the conquest cap. So now you are no longer limited by what you can get in the season. You can just get however much you want without being limited by the cap. This change has also added a vendor. This vendor, Lalandi in Dornogal, will be able to give you a forged equipment chest. This is the vendor with the bind to warband tag on its items, meaning you can now buy these forged gladiators equipments 597 starting item level and then send them to your alts. In exchange, of course, for conquest. Now, there has been a similar but much less appreciated change when it comes to the PvE side of things, because one of the changes that is already live is the fact that now there's going to be a Valor Stone equipment chest added to the War Within Season 1. So now Agmera, which is in the same room to the left of the Mythic Plus portal room, now will be able to sell you the Harbinger's equipment chest, which can give you another bind to warband item that you can then send to your alts for quick catch-up gear. What's the problem? The base item level of this item is going to be 593 item level at veteran track gear. So just as a reminder, veteran track gear means you can upgrade it with carved Harbinger crests all the way up to 606. That's the cap of this catch-up gear, 606 item level. What's the other problem besides this gear being slightly too low in the max item level? It's also the fact that this one will cost you 350 Valor Stones to actually buy. So it won't cost you something, for example, that your main or mains might have quite a few of, for example, weathered Harbinger crests or carved Harbinger crests, or maybe even the resonant crystals you have been stacking up. No, it costs Valor Stones, and it costs 350 of those. So let's just assume you just speed leveled one of your alts to max level and you wanted to replace all of its gear with this freebie loot from this vendor. Well, if you had 15 or so item slots you wanted to replace, you would have had to farm with your main characters or any other of your characters about 5,000 Valor Stones to be able to make that halt be 593 item level. And you know, 593 item level for 5,000 Valor Stones doesn't seem like a good return on the investment, especially with how easy it is to get such low item level gear. You know, you can get it from the Renown rewards, the 584, 587 Renown reward pieces you can get from the factions, you can get the crafted, the very cheap crafted items at this item level, you can get them from LFR, even places like heroic dungeons or time walking dungeons can get close to this, and they won't cost you 5,000 Valor Stones in total. So yes, it's good that we now have an extra NPC to get some catch-up gear. It is less good that at the moment it is planned to cost Valor Stones to be able to buy. However, with this out of the way, these were all of the collection of news planned either for 11.1 or already coming in the game, like the removal of the Conquest Cup, the catch-up gear vendors, or the Hall of Fame closing next reset. So, with these collection of news out of the way, we can now leave each other on this Thursday. We're starting, of course, the goodbyes by thanking everyone for having watched the video, together with everyone else, of course, who has been supporting completely for free by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, I put my drink in the freezer because I wanted it to be colder, but then I started this video and I forgot it there, and I'm afraid it's now frozen.